Today, Kevin and I are both going to be making JoJo's biscuits. I will do some of this, but then Kevin will do some of it. We're just going to take turns because that's just how we want to do it. Those are Ashley's notes. This is our daughter Ashley's cookbook. This is Magnolia Table, a collection of recipes for gathering Joanna gains. We bought this one and another cookbook for Ashley. And I have actually made several recipes out of both books. So if you do a search on the channel for Magnolia Table, they'll come up. This was written in 2018 by Joanna Gaines. And so what the deal was is Kevin and I reviewed her biscuits from Target in the frozen section. And a lot of people said, I wonder, because they were very expensive to buy. And I think you only got like 6. And people were like, well, you should try to make them yourself and see if it would be a lot more affordable. And if you can do that, and if that wouldn't be better than buying them in the frozen department of Target. So that's what we're going to try today. So you need 4 cups of self-rising flour plus more for your work surface. I made sure I bought self-rising flour. You need 2 tablespoons of baking powder, which is quite a bit. You need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. You need 3 sticks of soft salted butter. It needs to be cold, and you need to cut it into 1/2-inch pieces, or you can grate it. We decided to grate it this time, but normally we would cut it into cubes. You need 2 large eggs beaten, plus you're going to need another egg for brushing on later. So I'll put that back in the fridge for now. And then you need 1.5 cups of buttermilk, or as needed, plus you need 1 tablespoon for brushing. So I didn't get the extra 1 tablespoon out. So the first thing I'm going to do is, in this large bowl, I'm going to whisk together the flour, baking powder, and baking soda. Kevin is going to do this part because he is better at this stuff than me. He's like Paul Hollywood. He's really good at working with his hands, and he's good with like bread and dough.
Plus it wears you out.
It does. It does wear you out. So Kevin is going to do this part, and I'm going to read you what the cookbook says. It says, add the butter and use a pastry blender to cut the butter into the flour until the pieces are even and about the size of peas. And so we do not own a pastry blender, but that will not make any difference to this recipe at all because Kevin's going to use his hands. And Kevin makes homemade biscuits and rolls and dinner rolls.
Pie crust.
Pie crust, yes. Tart crust, yeah, we do all that. Kevin uses his hands, and it's always perfect. So if you don't have a pastry blender, don't feel like you can't make JoJo's biscuits. So he is going to knead this together.
Yeah, if you just had a pastry cutter, it's got like these little wires on the, underneath of it. If you've ever seen one, it's like a handle and it's got these little wires, and you would just go in here and break it all up. Instead, I'm just having to mush it with my fingers.
It looks like you're pinching it.
Yeah,
you're pinching the butter, squeezing the butter between your fingers.
Yep.
And so you're going to keep doing that until it is the size of peas.
Yeah, it'll get kind of coarse.
This is like pea size. Kevin used.
It's actually grainy, like almost like coffee.
Right. Okay, so now it says stir in your beaten eggs. So we have our beaten eggs. Stir them in with a wooden spoon until combined. And then after that, once those are combined, Kevin is going to stir in 1.5 cups of buttermilk until the dough comes together to a sticky mass. If it's too dry, you add more buttermilk, which we have plenty. 1 tablespoon at a time, mixing after each addition until it reaches the correct consistency. So you want to make sure it's not too dry. add a tablespoon.
Yeah, it's kind of dry down there at the bottom.
What Kevin's going to do, it says cover the bowl and refrigerate for at least 30 minutes and up to overnight. So we have some cling wrap, some Glad wrap, and Kevin will put that over the top of this bowl and we'll put it in the refrigerator, and we'll at least give it half an hour. This has been, the dough has been in the refrigerator for about 35 minutes. And so now what you want to do is you want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. Position a rack in the middle of the oven and preheat it to 400. Line a baking sheet with parchment paper, which I've done over there. I have the Reynolds baking sheets. And then you want to scrape the dough onto a floured work surface. So that's what Kevin is getting ready to do right now. We just took some of our self-rising flour and Kevin put it out on the clean counter. And it says use your floured hands to press it into a round, roughly 14 inches across and about a half an inch thick. So that is what we're gonna see him do now. Says use a floured 2 3/4 inch round cutter to cut about 20 biscuits.
Yeah, I know that this cutter is about an inch thick, so if I go about halfway up, it's about half an inch. That's why I'm sitting there looking at it.
If necessary, collect and pat out the scraps to cut more biscuits. Transfer the biscuits to the prepared baking sheet. Arrange them so that they are all touching. And she said that was important that they touch. So while Kevin is doing this, I can read you her intro. She said, it took me over a year of Saturdays to get these biscuits just right. Almost every weekend for months, I worked up another batch for Chip and the kids to taste and then wrote down their feedback. Biscuit after biscuit was judged to be too heavy, too light, too flat, too salty, too dry, or just not right. I don't entirely know what kept me going back to the mixing bowl, but something inside me was clearly determined to prevail. All those failed batches didn't discourage me. Instead, each one spurred me to tweak my formula and try again the next week. Of course, it helped that I had a house full of agreeable taste testers who delivered their criticisms with kindness and encouraged me to keep at it with the kind of enthusiasm that can only be mustered by people who really love biscuits. I vividly remember the moment I finally nailed it when the whole family declared simultaneously, "This is it." They have been our family's Saturday morning breakfast ever since. Among the tricks I worked out along the way are the somewhat unusual addition of eggs and the way they are arranged for baking so that they all touch, both of which contribute to the moisture, lightness, and loft of these biscuits. Chip thinks they are nothing less than heaven on earth. Every Saturday he has the same breakfast of fried eggs, cooked over medium, and 2 biscuits, one slathered with butter and strawberry jam, and the other one tucked under a generous serving of sausage gravy. Every week he declares it's the best breakfast he ever had, and every week the kids reply, "Dad, you say that every time." These biscuits have become so ingrained in our lives that when our oldest Drake went away to summer camp for the first time, he wrote me a card that said in part, "Dear Mom, I miss you so much. All I can think about is home and your biscuits and gravy. Promise me that as soon as I get back, we'll have biscuits and gravy." Naturally, I framed the card. When we opened Magnolia Table, there was no question these biscuits had to be on the menu. So I turned the recipe over to the chefs to transform it to suit the needs of a restaurant kitchen. I make only 20 at a time. They make hundreds of them every day. When the time came to decide which of my family's favorites would go in this cookbook, I knew not only that I had to share the biscuits, but also that the recipe had to be the very first one in the book. And so how many, 5, 10, 15, 20? So you have 20 right there, and you have some dough left. Kevin was able to get 3 more biscuits, and then he has a little bit left. When Ashley and Andrew were growing up, Kevin would always make homemade biscuits for them, for all of us. And anytime he had dough left over like this, Ashley always wanted to eat it. So she would literally eat the raw dough. Kevin was able to scoot our biscuits down, and so he fit them all on here. So even these, and even the little bitty one that Ashley would have eaten, he was able to fit it on here. So now you want to take your egg and a tablespoon of buttermilk, and Kevin is going to whisk these together with his fork, and then he's going to brush this mixture on the biscuits before we put them in the oven. So once he's finished with this, it says we're going to bake until golden brown for 15 to 20 minutes. Let cool slightly in the pan on a rack. Biscuits are best the day they are made and ideally fresh out of the oven. You can store the leftovers in an airtight container at room temperature for up to 2 days. So I'm going to start my timer. I'm going to set it for 15 minutes. But then I'll adjust it as we go, and once they come out of the oven, I'll let you know how long they were in for. The biscuits only took 15 minutes. 15 minutes, they look golden brown. Even the ones, the extra that Kevin made, they look great. So I'm going to get one out of here, and I'm going to open it up and see how it looks. I wonder if I can just cut it with this. Oh yeah, that looks perfect. I already have mine open, so I'm gonna start putting butter on mine.
They got a good rival on them.
Oh, should we try it without butter?
I'm gonna try one without butter.
Okay, well I'll try it without butter too. I'm just gonna go ahead and put some on here.
They really have a nice texture to them.
Okay. All right, I've got a bottom here. The bottom, if you're wondering.
Good.
That's nice.
Very fluffy.
When Kevin would make his biscuits, we would do sausage, and we would do egg, and sometimes cheese. Put a piece of sliced cheese on there. That is really nice. It has a lot to do with the texture. The texture it seems like it has a lot of layers to it.
I swear I can almost taste the baking soda though.
Oh, really? Well, I told Kevin this had like 2 tablespoons of baking soda. It has more, or was that the one?
It's baking powder, one of the 2.
It had 2 tablespoons of baking powder. That's more baking powder than I think I've used on anything at one time before. It was a lot of baking powder.
It just has, there's a flavor in there that's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of sharp. I don't know how to describe it.
I like them. I like them quite a bit. Kevin, if you're wondering what kind of biscuits Kevin always made when the kids were growing up, it was Bisquick. We used Bisquick biscuits, and he used the recipe on the Bisquick. Now, we do believe that the Bisquick has changed since the kids were little, because And you know, companies change stuff all the time, and they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you that they're using something cheaper or something different, but something has changed, because when the kids were growing up, they would really rise a lot, and they don't have the rise on them that they used to.
I don't like these.
You don't?
They have like a metallic, like a tang to them. I don't know what it is. I know you're not getting it at all. Mm-mm. I am. Whether it has the no butter, with butter, there's some kind of flavor there, and I'm thinking it's probably the baking powder, baking soda, or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's something there. I personally would rather just have the biscuits.
I went to. I do like these.
They're a lot quicker and easier.
They are quicker. They're easier. You don't have to put them in the refrigerator for 30 minutes before you bake them. I do like the texture of these. I really do.
I like the texture too.
But I just as much, the Biscuit biscuits I think hold together more. And I will tell you something, for all the people, this was the review we did.
Those are better.
Yes, these are completely different than what's in the cookbook. Mm-hmm. And I know this is supposed to be her buttermilk biscuit recipe. But if you look at the ingredients, this is the ingredients. Enriched wheat flour, malted barley flour. We never put that in there. No. Niacin, iron, thiamine, mono something trait, riboflavin, butter, sour cream. We never used any sour cream in these. Water, cane sugar.
No sugar. No
sugar. We didn't use sugar. Buttermilk, baking powder. There's tapioca starch, sodium bicarbonate, salt, and baking soda. So we know we didn't use sour cream. We know we didn't use sugar. They used 2 different kinds of flour. So how in the world were these supposed to be her biscuits? They're not. It's not the same.
And I know some of that stuff, stabilizers and preservatives and things to keep it going longer. We know that. But
some
of the basics like sour cream is completely
sour cream and sugar. Put sugar is something like she didn't have that in her recipe. So I still love these. I think these are absolutely. Really good. I think they're terrific. But I had written down on the back of this box, these were $1.67 each when you divide a biscuit, because you only get 6 in the package. They were $1.67 each, but they are absolutely delicious. If you, like I said during the review, I think if you want like to treat yourself to them for one time, I mean, because who could afford them all the time? Then I think they're worth it. I think they're absolutely delicious. These are not at all the same biscuits that's in her cookbook. It's not the same. So
we made them according to their directions.
We did it exactly, yes. So I'm glad that I tried them because a lot of people were very curious, and it is not the same thing. But honestly, I really do like the texture. I think the texture's good, but I would just as soon have the Biscuit biscuits as to do these.
Yeah, and like I said, I get some kind of weird aftertaste.
And I did not get that at all.
It's almost metallic.
But it's just, Kevin is like a super taster. So Kevin got that and I didn't. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.